Okay. I've you know what I should have done though? I should have done it earlier. Okay, good. Because sometimes it doesn't do it. Then you have to hear me double speak over here. Alright, alright. Hey Manuel, what's up? I haven't seen you in a while. Okay, sorry. Give me 1 second. Alright, I didn't put it on my title, but it is okay. It is what it is. Oh, number one fan. This is pretty cool. I don't know what this number one fan thingy is, but apparently you are one. Thank you. Appreciate that. Oh, Kai Supreme as well. Thank you. Appreciate you coming in. Not quite sure how long I'm gonna be here. Last time we did 1 hour, so maybe that's around the time. I feel like my limit is 2 hours for sure. In which my voice would start to go crazy. All right. So, not much to be talked about. I feel like, again, the volume is pretty dry. We all know why. We all know why. So, same old, nothing new. Except for, yeah, this is a bit new, right? I mean, at least it's less than 60% that will be off trading on the off exchange. Again, guys, until something's changed about how these type of instrument would be able to trade off exchange or on exchange or whatever, again, 42% of it was a short interest. So I don't know how to fix this. But the point I am going to make here is that even with a high volume, right? If they could internalize 76 million shares, again, on one day, this is just one day. Internalize meaning that they, able to absorb, the shares being sold or whatever, or buy, sell, whatever, at the exorbitant amount of shares, right? Then the time in which GameStop is being traded, very low volume, they're gonna easily could manipulate the price in that way. So again, nothing changed. I mean, I'm not saying that everything that market makers doing is illegal until these are legal things that they could do. Okay, that's just a heads up there. And so the only way to, I guess, win is to buy and hold, right? That's the only, way to do that. And so, or, some, crazy rogue whale out there, who have the ability to spike up the option chain, will be able to do that to, bring the price a little bit higher. Okay. But so long as the fundamental will catch up to the, whatever the price is, I think market makers still have a reign over this. Okay. Not to say that there's, not stressed out at all. I'm saying that they have the tools, the ability, the capital to do this, seemingly forever until the end of time. Okay. Until leadership doing something drastic. Okay. Now, buying Bitcoin is one great one. I feel like it's a good, a good signal in which that we don't mind, parting with some of the capital out there that we have in terms of cash, in order to take some risk over here. Now, is it meaningful amount? Of course, I would love leadership to add more Bitcoin if they can, because again, the whole narrative is coming to play right now where Bitcoin is a pristine collateral, and it's going to continue to go higher because the narrative right now is that the US government will never have the ability to pay off the debt, and the only way to do that is to inflate and inflate and inflate. So that's the only way that they could solve the problem, seemingly. Okay, so in that case, asset that has no, it's infinity over here. Okay. Hold on, there's actually a better way. I will have video to, so you guys could understand that more from other people point of view, because I feel like I don't explain very well when it comes to this type of thing. Because I feel like sometimes you need someone else to say the same thing. I think it was yeah, that's later on. Not this one. I feel like it was that True North video. No. I will find it. Could do it later on, I guess. I'm stalling as well, so it is what it is. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm just waiting for people to come in. That's a good excuse. You know what? I should have put it on my watch later tab over here. I do have a couple of video there. Okay, so I have a couple there. I think I have this one. Okay. All right, so I didn't have that one, but I have this one that I was gonna show anyway today. Okay, well, let's get on with the show, I guess. Before we go to Bitcoin, obviously, so let's just say that leadership has been doing everything they can to increase shareholder value, and they've done that pretty immensely. But I guess, we want to get into the S&P 500 as quickly as possible. Now, there has been a new development. Of course, now they have to raise the S&P 500 requirement. And yeah, so that dream is a little bit further apart, that I keep saying, okay, it used to be 12 million, right? Now it's up, and then 18 billion. And then most recently was $20.5 billion. So now they got a new update. You have to be $22.7 trillion to qualify for the S&P 500. So again, not to say that we won't reach that, obviously, but I feel like now it's become more and more a little bit harder for Jimmy to achieve that. However, is it going to be 2 more years, or again, or it could be this year, depends on the share price. But as far as like the earnings per shares and all that stuff, it's going to do fine. I feel like we have been demonstrated that we have the capacity to be profitable and continue to be years to come here. The problem is that I don't know how long it's going to take GMEs to get up to the $22 billion per share here. Without any volatility, of course, again, being in this company for quite some time, I understand the market dynamic. Market maker has been keeping it down for a very long time. If the liquidity is drying up and, we don't have the cash to bolster that, $22 billion in cash, I don't think they're gonna, rate us that way. So, again, more imperative for leadership to doing something drastic, a little bit more drastic here. Again, like whatever they decide, I trust Ryan Cohen to do it. I'm not saying that, they have to do something drastic here. No. I'm saying that if they want to be in the S&P 500 within this year, then yes, buy more Bitcoin. Maybe half of it will go into Bitcoin. Like more aggressive than that. To see that volatility, right? We want that volatility for sure. Because Bitcoin is volatility. It's the volatility that any stock like GME, okay, wants. The stock that is poised to, have the short squeeze that it's needed, have the, a lot of different people coming to participate in this this run. But again, I don't know. Like, I don't even know how to speculate this, honestly, because they could just theoretically raise the, S&P 500 cap here. That's not to say anything. We are in the mid cap, 400 here. So technically we are in the index already. And so nothing, I think the regular buys would still comes from the institution. You've seen Vanguard, Goldman Sachs, a lot of, a fund manager out there who needs shares in order to, fulfill those mid-cap perhaps, is still are doing regular buy-ins here. So I'm not worried that, somehow GameStop is not going to be in the S&P 500. The only thing is that, again, it might be 2 years from now instead of just one, right? That I was, speculating. But again, that's not to say that leadership is not going to do something drastic either within this couple of months here, So each quarter we are inching towards something crazy, right? We have, what is it? Buck the Bunny. I didn't have it. So in terms of fundamental reason why we should buy into GameStop, there's no doubt in my mind, okay? But as far as the share price go, of course, yeah, it's kind of boring. But again, boring is good for accumulating share. No worries. But yeah. But for me, again, I want the share price to be as low as possible. So a bit selfish in that sense, of course, right? Because I want to be able to buy more in the long run for sure. Currently I shaved some yesterday. Just a little bit. I'm not, going crazy here. Of course, I wanted a lot of exposure in terms of like the long-term aspect of it. But I also want some exposure to crypto as well in my long-term bag. So that's why I begrudgingly kind of trimmed a little bit here, but also I took some advantage of the XRP announcement here. So I think within these 2 or 3 months, crypto is going to go higher than people expect it to be. The big beautiful bill has been passed, so that's why a lot more liquidity will come. Hopefully some of that liquidity will bleed into GameStop as well. We know that, right? So a lot of dark pool orders coming in. We've seen that happen, but business-wise, we're doing well. We're participating in these 4th of July sales, and kind of try to increase the revenue as much as we can, keep the store open, keep the business going, right? So leadership is doing it pretty well here. Use the buck money to marketing and all that stuff. So nothing to worry about here. Of course, people are crazy about Bitcoin here. Let me just retweet this too. There we go. Okay, so hold on 1 second. And then we saw the inside buying, inside buyers coming in. Greatly appreciate that. Still waiting on Nat Turner though, right? Why is he not buying yet? Who knows? Maybe he doesn't believe in the company yet until they could deliver more. But who's to say that they're not buying now, right? So we're just waiting on the filing. Of course, I saw the same again, buy orders go to the dark pool, sell order goes to the lit exchange. So that's been the play for quite some time for market makers out there, because evidence shown here. Okay, short interest coming down, coming up in terms of percentage. Okay, so if you look at Fintel right now, you would see that short interest is going higher. Short interest is going higher, which is 20%, close to 20%. Let me come back here. Yep, it's still at 29. Remember, it used to be 12 or so. Now it's at 29, sorry. 19%. I know, like, people probably like, oh, that is actually very low because compared to 200%, right? Remember, they changed the way that they account for short interest here, because of what happened to the price action and whatnot. So whether this is a reported short interest that we could see, it's still a high short interest to have, especially with the company that is doing well. They're not burning cash. They have a boatload of cash here, stacking against whatever, right? Whether the storm, whether through these layoffs, shenanigans here, there are a lot of people getting laid off right now. Still, from the big companies out there, and of course, again, this is probably AI, thing here, and so, also Jimmy is also capitalized on that as well. They just launched this Neo AI assistant to help the employer or employee to become more efficient in ways that they could find certain things very quickly, ask AI instead of calling for corporate. And so again, it saves some times and all that stuff. So every single company are doing the same thing. They lay off a whole bunch of people here. And Meta just announced headhunting for the best AI developer out there, you know, and giving handsome amount of money here to develop AI in that sense. Crazy amount, right? Like 30 million, something like that, salary and some bonus, and really, like, dang. So the race for AI, you know, thing is coming. And so, you know, if you don't own any asset, that's why Bitcoin is such a forefront now, is because you could really program something to earn you money. You know, if you own some Bitcoin, right? You could really do some amazing thing right here in the next 10 years. That's why having some Bitcoin, having some digital money, and I really think that Ryan Cohen is also aware of that, because he did mention something about stablecoin. Okay. So it's coming, you guys. Like, again, this is going to be the forefront of whatever gaming industry that is going to take advantage of the AI boom as well. Meaning, like, using AI to be more productive in that sense, or more, you know, advantageous in making more and more money and all that stuff. So, you know, whether it's going to outperform Bitcoin, it's remained to be seen. It just so happened that the money printing is just quickly, you know, quicker than the human could really produce, being productive enough to produce 60% a year. You can't outperform that. And so that's why, again, Seller was up. I mean, gonna be the smartest man on earth in about 10 years here. Everybody's gonna talk about how MicroStrategy have become the biggest company moving forward here. Okay, it will become the next Max 7 or Max 10 or whatever. They're gonna try to get you to buy into it, but because this opportunity, there's only a window of opportunity here if people aren't understanding to the level, going crazy. And then of course you have to be brave as well, right? To be wrong. You have to be right though, right? If you want to make money in the market. And so again, that's why you have some leader out there that are very convicted in what they're doing. You have Ryan Cohen is also convicted. He's convicted in himself to turn this company around, and have been turning it as I know by someone's standard would be slow, but I really think that he sees some value here that none saw. Perhaps again, not just the short squeeze here, the opportunity to transform this company into something more, I guess, conducive to his way of running the business here. So creating the biggest, the number one destiny for gamers. That's been the mission for quite some time, right? Has it been the number one destination yet? No. So the mission is still alive, right? How long that is going to take, I don't know. It's been 4 years, so another decade perhaps. I know people will be like, oh, okay, that's boring. But as far as the S&P 500, right, we still have to, beat that. So that's the next step, obviously. Now, I run through this, so dog's going crazy over here. Sorry about that. But anyway, so I'm gonna have this strategy going on here still, right? Still holding this forever, and then still holding this for that price point, and then the rest would just be traded. Again, at will. Really depends, right? If I want more exposure to Bitcoin or some blockchain out here, because I see the opportunity within this couple months here, I feel like it's going to melt up and then not going to be able to catch it. So again, I might trim off or add back. Really depends, right? But again, I will still have this much exposure forever. These two exposure forever till the end of time. Until this happened. Until this happened. Until this happened. Obviously, right? 10 times book, right? 10 times book. I think it's pretty doable. You know, with this type of company. Okay, not to say fundamentally it cannot be 10 times book, because if it's 10 times book right now, the share would be 100 and something. Okay, so the leadership might have to offer more convertible notes, right? And this time I would wish that they would, you know, at least like pick their own strike price. Like why have the market decide? Because we know that the market is not real market here. So arbitrary, technically, if there's this much demand, why not set our own price on the convertible? Right? On the convertible price. Again, I don't know how like legally can they do that. I don't see why not. I mean, they could, you know, whoever wants to buy it at this convertible price, they would buy it. If they're desperate enough, right? If they're desperate enough to buy it at this price, of course there will be some people who are desperate enough to buy it at this price. And for this amount of year, yes. And so, yeah, let's do it. Let's do that. Next quarter, more money, right? Next quarter, more money. There you go. And then they could run the narrative of dilution until they blew on the face, right? But if we are able to use that cash for that at that price with zero interest rate, mind you, right? Because again, nobody would in their right mind would give GameStop, you know, this amount of money to use at 0% interest rate if they know that the share is not going to exceed this, right? So the only reason why they would buy it is because of the long-term prospect of this company going beyond $30 a share. Okay. Now, meanwhile, this is what Ryan Cohen has been doing, which is just to park it at this particular yield. Okay. Now, of course, I would love him to, you know, get some of the strike, you know, or strife or whatever. So at least, you know, you use the if you're not don't want to expose to Bitcoin, obviously, with the risk that associate with it, so that people keep saying it's risky, right? But if it returns you 50%, 60% a year, you know, I mean, again, you have to buy it in a long-term, you know, amount of time. You're not going to buy it just 1 year and then sell and then, you know, oh my God, I lost money. Like, you can't do that. We know, like, in investing, right? All you have to do is just buy and hold. Right? And of course, you have to believe in the instrument in which you are, you know, getting yourself into too. So if you don't believe in it, obviously, you're going to try to trade in and out like this, right? I'm not saying I don't believe in it. I'm just saying that I think that's the opportunity to capitalize in a, you know, more percentages right now in Bitcoin, in blockchain, because the pressure has been kind of suppressed for quite some time. It's been, you know, it's been told to you that it is a scam for quite some time. Okay, by the media, by people who don't understand anything about Bitcoin, Ethereum as well, right? I know Ethereum, you know, the use case is there, but I really think that it is kind of like private equity, kind of selling you in that sense. But again, you know, the infrastructure is there. Robinhood is about to using it, right? They're using Arbitrum, which is a Ethereum based layer 2, just like Loopring, right? So that's coming. I'm telling you, that's why I'm so bullish on the blockchain there. Not to say I'm not bullish about GameStop either, but again, because of the market manipulation, right? That's why it's such a, an opportunity, but yet, it's still hidden yet until people are so, rushing into the company because of whatever excitement that they're, doing. Of course, with Bitcoin purchases, it didn't do much either. So doesn't really matter what this company is doing, it seems, right? It's just gonna go down in price until it's not. So hey, what's up? Oh, I know I haven't seen you in a while. Thank you for joining. Yeah, I mean, again, am I frustrated at the price action? Of course, I'm frustrated at the price action, but to blame leadership for it, I don't think that that is I think it's a misplaced frustration in that, because what do you want leadership to do? Come out and say, oh, there's naked shorting here? Come out and say, oh, hey, my stock has been suppressed for so long? It's like, no. Leadership's going to continue to do the best they can to improve the balance sheet, and they've been doing it. So they've been doing great, right? Yeah. I mean, what? The time has come when people will be like, like 4%, it's not much. I know. In my opinion, I feel like inflation is a lot higher than 2% that they are telling you. So if they say it's 2%, add 5% on top of that. Then you understand. It's like, okay, it's actually 7% a year. So technically, we're not really beating inflation in terms of buying power here, because I'm saying, man, it's going to go crazy for sure. Like asset price going higher, but if you measure it based on Bitcoin holding, okay, you will see that everything will go down in price in terms of Bitcoin, measuring based on Bitcoin. So the more Bitcoin, the better. Okay. So currently we have 4,000 as a company. And so if you hold amount of shares, hold on, I was just playing around with that one. If you hold one share of GameStop, you have $1 worth of Bitcoin built into that. So every shares that you own, $1 worth of Bitcoin will be there. So if Bitcoin's gonna go to $1 million, which people are expecting, then $10 of that will be in Bitcoin for one share. Okay, if you have 1,000 shares, what is that? Times that by 1,000, you would have $10,000. There you go. So again, people are like, how do you think it's gonna go to $1 million? Okay, well, study Bitcoin. You understand it. Just listen to a lot of people who've been in it for a long time, and that the global M2 finance or whatever, global M2 money supply keeps going up in perpetuity here. So, like I said, the U.S. is not the only government that prints, and so 6 times. I mean, how much more money they're gonna need to prop up this economy? A lot more. Okay. So how do they do that? They devalue your buying power. That's why Bitcoin is gonna go higher, because it's measured in dollar. So there will be more dollars in circulation to chase the fixed supplies of Bitcoin. Why only Bitcoin? Not only Bitcoin will go up, gold will go up, okay? Misprice it or whatever, that's on you. The problem with gold is that there's so many paper golds out there. You've heard of JP Morgan suppressing the price of gold, by trading. So the same thing. They've been suppressing the price of precious metal for quite some time, right? Because there's so many ETFs out there. There's so many, again, they're trying to do the same thing with Bitcoin as well. There are a lot of ETFs out there that they could suppress the price. They've been doing the same thing with GME as well. They have so many ETFs out there to suppress the price. So yes, I know they're going to try to suppress the price of BTC as well. But the problem with BTC is that you cannot mint more. So if you have people who are shorting this asset class, which is the dumbest thing that you could do to short this asset class, you're gonna get squeezed because people could remove that by self-custody, okay, by taking it off exchange, like DRSing thing. And so yeah, good luck. Try to short this thing, and the more you short, you have to pay, I guess, cost to borrow. Okay, you have to find somebody who willing to let you lend that Bitcoin, and of course, BlackRock is probably the one who will lend those Bitcoin out to you. But yeah, the more you lend out, the more they could buy, and that's a feedback loop in which, yeah, it's gonna send the price of Bitcoin along very high. Okay. But anyway, I know it's a exhausting way to explain things. I feel exhausted all the time, mostly. Like I'm telling you, every time I talk about GameStop, right? So exhausting because I have to explain all this, like, oh, naked shorting, right? So why is the price coming down if it's so great? It's like, well, you have to understand right? And so sometimes you just have to be quiet and just do your thing, right? And then if you sell some amount of shares, right, people are gonna be like, why are you selling the shares? Like it's like it's so exhausting. I'm telling you. That's why again I developed my own strategy and I'm gonna stick with it. I don't mind if people are saying, why did you sell if you're so believing in it? Well, because again, I've always been very transparent. I always said, hey, I'm a hybrid. I will learn to do certain things myself. Covered call is one of them, right? Selling some amount of shares if you have to, to get into something that you believe a little bit more because you understand the movement of it. Okay. So the XRP is one of them. So I sell some to get into XRP for that amount of time. Okay. Because with the, lawsuits and all that stuff, it's going to go crazy. Okay. So I don't want to miss that. Of course, I have some amount of XRP already, just not in my long-term bag. Okay. So that's what I want, tax-free and all that stuff. So that's also the reason why I have to part some shares of GameStop here. I'm coming back. Don't worry. If it's still at this price point, obviously I'm going to come back. So no harm, no foul. Okay. But no matter what, these are lock-in. These amount will never go anywhere until this happens. Okay. So I'm very firm on that because again, I don't know when it's going to explode. I don't know when it's going to do its thing. But in the meantime, obviously, I bought this amount of shares with with that spike in mind, okay, just so that I could get into crypto. Now, if crypto is gonna return me at this moment in time a little bit more, in terms of percentage, because of the high demands out there, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get into that real quick and then come back. So. Anywho, okay, so did I say anything about Strife? I think I want to talk about Strife real quick because the last time I right here. Okay. So, Stripe is going up in price because remember, this is a debt instrument, just like bond. Okay. It's actually a preferred share. Okay. If you own 1 unit of this, you're gonna get $10 in dividends. Okay. And the value derived from MSTR and the Bitcoin holding that they have. Okay. And so they promise to pay dividend in perpetuity of this particular share, $10 per unit. Okay. So the last time when I talked about this, it was at this price point right here, 105. A couple days later, look at it now. So if you buy into this one, not only that you will get $10 per share per year, okay, $10 per share per year. And I think they pays every 3 months or something like that. No, every quarter, sorry, every quarter. Well, yeah, every 3 months it is 1 quarter. I'm going crazy right here. But anyway, so 105, if you hold it, you would get $10 a year. Okay. Now, for anyone who wants this type of yield, but Bitcoin backed yield, and this is why it goes higher because Bitcoin's going higher in price, credit worthiness is going higher, meaning people are trusting Bitcoin more. So then, you're gonna have to pay $14, $114 per share. And again, this is going to fluctuate based on how many people is going to be willing to pay MicroStrategy to buy into Bitcoin. Okay. So again, that's the strategy here for them. Okay. Borrowing money from people to buy into Bitcoin. Okay. So for these type of people, institution or whoever, I mean, I'm sure anyone who wants to participate, I could buy it right now if I wanted to. Actually, I bought it around here actually. Okay. $99 actually. Yeah, I bought it around here, but sold, up here, thinking I was making it. But then later on, it's like, I should not have sold it. But anyway, I was just like kind of playing around with this to see if it's worth it and all of that, and how much does it move each day. And it's kind of scared me too because like it moves quickly for a bond, quote unquote, right? But this is a preferred share that will earn you dividend. That's what it is. Okay. I guess every company could issue a preferred share that will allow the company to earn or to give you a dividend, and they will use that money to do whatever they want, right, with it, in the hopes of giving you more yield. Okay, that's why, again, they promise to give you $10 per unit for that. And so if you do the math right there, right, if you buy it at this moment in time, then $10 divided by 114, that's going to yield you 8%. Okay, 8% versus okay, $10 versus this much. Okay, so $10. Okay, so let me write this down here. So that's 9.5% versus over here 8.7%. Okay, so people are chasing the yield. That's why this become more valuable. So if you buy it over here, yes, you could technically sell it to somebody, right? Because they want that yield so much, at a higher price. And yes, you will pocket the difference because, and again, this is what the bond holders, like the treasury bond people, make banks out of. Okay. And again, this is going to entice those people coming into, buying and selling this too. So this will be volatile, right? But as Bitcoin go up in price, people trust Bitcoin more and more. This will become more expensive. Okay. So again, depends on whether you trust leadership to be able to give you that yield. And more people will buy into it. Well, we'll understand it more. So we'll keep track on that to see. Of course, I would love Ryan Cohen to understand this more, to buy into this if they can, instead of the government bond. Because technically, the government could, print money left and right here. So, they have to. I mean, they cannot stop printing money. Okay. So how do you stop them? You buy Bitcoin. Okay. Because eventually they're going to be like, oh man, I can't raise more money. Nobody will buy my government debt here. So it's going to be a problem here. Anyway, I don't know how it's going to fix it itself, but while it's fixing itself, you could really make money on this. Okay. So as people are chasing that yield, and again, depends, right? If Bitcoins come down 50%, this yield will be more attractive because it's going to be down here, right? Again, speculation type thing. Let's say it comes down here. You get it at $90, right? And $95. So you just divide that, and then you would get 10.5% for that particular buys. Okay. So 10.5% is nothing to scoff at. And then you have the, Bitcoin balance sheets of MicroStrategy Sailor, doing his magic to buy more Bitcoin. And rinse and repeat. And so no matter what he does, he's going to still increase his Bitcoin holding. So currently, he has close to 600 Bitcoin. No, 600,000, sorry. 600,000 Bitcoin. Okay, and you could keep track of it because he, come out and say how much Bitcoin he buy this week. Okay, so that's a good transparency to I guess, to announce it every time so that people know, hey, there's more Bitcoin here. So that's going to signal more and more, ability for MicroStrategy to pay this dividend here. Okay. Depends on how many people will buy into the idea that Bitcoin is more stable than the government keeping printing money, devaluing your dollar. Nobody's gonna keep printing Bitcoin to devalue Bitcoin. Okay. So again, so that's the difference here. So as more and more people come in, people are gonna be like, okay, 5%, I'll take 5%. And yeah, Michael Saylor is gonna be like, okay, you take 5%. You have to buy into this at, whatever 5% is. I think it's like $500, right? At 5%. So let's do the math. So $10 divided by 500. Oh, that's 2%. So 5%, because remember, the treasury bond is going to go lower in price, okay? So the higher, even the 20-year treasury bond over here, 20-year treasury bond only yields you some amount like this, okay? Less than 5% for 20 years, okay? Now, if strategy is able to deliver, 5%, a little bit more, of course, people are going to want to buy this instrument here, right? So yeah, that's why the opportunity is now when people are not aware of it. And people are gonna be baffled. Like, oh, this is a Ponzi scheme, you know? Again, okay. If you keep saying that and you're not understanding what is happening right now, you're gonna keep saying it. Until the end of time. The same way as people are saying still AMC is a kicking the can down the road that is good for them, right? So they just issue more shares, or issue shares into converting into the debt, and then able to push the debt a little bit further so that they could, run it to the ground again, right? So we all know that they don't have enough cash in a meaningful way for shareholders to even benefited from it. And so again, like it might take AMC 20 more years in order to make what GME is making right now. So yeah, as far as shareholder getting any value out of this, the only miracle that would happen is if the short squeeze happened, right, for them. I'm sure they're gonna try to mimic GameStop move at some point. But yeah, so that's just the gist of it. I know I went through strife quite a bit. I know. I want Ryan Cohen to even. Can I take a look at this real quick? I mean, 8%, much better than 4%, right? And on top of that, you kind of boast Bitcoin. Of course, Bitcoin is the best, case scenario, because again, Bitcoin has that volatility that everyone wants in this company. Up and down, again, both, right? Because with that volatility, it's going to add that volatility to GME as well as a stock. Okay, I'm not talking about the company. I'm talking about the stock price here. But knowing that Ryan Cohen is pretty conservative, having somebody would maybe from now on, we're just gonna buy $500 million a year, and just wait $500 million a year. Not only that, we're gonna be able to, yes, capture some of it, some gain from Bitcoin. But I think, oh man, if he's really wanting to do this and a lot riskier, again, believe in the Bitcoin narrative, right? What he could do is buy Strife, right? $8 billion. I'm sure MicroStrategy or a strategy would love to have this money to buy into Bitcoin, and then use the proceeds from this to buy actual Bitcoin, right? Now, why that way? Why? Here's why. Not only that this amount will be kind of less risky in a sense that it will be protected, right? Yes, it's going to fluctuate based on whoever wants to chase this yield. This yield, I mean, this $8 billion doesn't stay put. Okay, if this go up in value, because people are chasing the yield, right? If you get it at this price point, like I said, 8%, nothing to scoff at. People are gonna want to buy it up in order to get this yield, right? But if this is going up, this yield is gonna stay at, it's gonna keep going down in price. I mean, in yield. So 7% or whatever. Now, if it gets too hot, obviously, like this $8 billion could turn into freaking $10 billion, right? So in which case you could dump it, and get into cash, or just stay put, right? When you stay put, not only that you're gonna get what, man, like 700 million 700 million a year, buy that into Bitcoin, hold Bitcoin more, while still, appreciated the, appreciation here for, the amount of time in which people are chasing this. So 5%, what is 5%? I want to say 200. Let me see. Divided by $200. Yeah, $200. So this could technically goes up to $200 here. So again, the more people are chasing that yield, the higher this will go. Okay. Now, people also was willing to lend money to seller at 0% interest. Remember that, right? So in that case, this could go up to like I said, more than $500 here. Because people are like, oh my gosh, again, at some point in time here when people are chasing yield. And so this could go to negative. That's not really negative. It's impossible. Now, yes, my strategy could increase the units, okay? Increase the unit of this preferred shared, and will, devalue this particular yield, to earn more Bitcoin, I guess, to make more money to buy more Bitcoin, right? So the positive loop is there. Or even just not buy Bitcoin with that proceed. Just use that proceed to do the regular operating. Would still be immensely helpful. I mean, again, the actual company doesn't need much. Like if you look at the expenses, that's a perfect expenses right there for the actual company. See, operating for the whole year, less than $1 billion. So that'd be crazy, right? That'd be crazy. But as it is, like I said, with just 4 point whatever, you could still return this much. It's still immensely like crazy amount of money here. Like I said, they have so much option, you guys. Okay, so whatever option they pick, it will still be good. So, okay, the cycle is here. Hopefully, right? But hey, whatever happens, I don't know. I'm bullish on every angle here, even Bitcoin, even everything. All right, guys, I will let you guys go. I feel like I think I need to eat. I think that's why. I really think I need to drink, I need to eat, and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm kind of exerting too much energy here talking about GameStop. Okay, I will let you guys go, and then yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Friday we are going to it's 4th of July. Obviously, Friday it's gonna be market's gonna be closing, and so none will be around. So I will be back tomorrow. Maybe we'll see. Hopefully, price gonna do something, but I doubt it. Look at the Mark's Pain. Mark's Pain is 23.50 here. So unless something crazy is happening, I don't know. But a lot of dark pool order, we understand that. Maybe the next week is going to be something crazy. Who knows? Typically, anytime there's a short week, right, they're going to be able to, suppress the volume. So just have to wait a little bit longer. I'm sorry that you have to wait too long. But what can I do? Market is going to be marketing. So I just have to, do something crazy like micro strategy, micro sailor. So to be able to, I guess, shake these people out. But yeah, we'll see. And